ProfessionalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everyone. Happy Monday morning. Welcome back to the Frivolity. A little bit of a crazy day, Monday. So a little bit trepidous. There's a word in there somewhere that I want to say. I suppose first we do have a bit of a sort of a follow through from yesterday's broiler chicken show. I didn't quite get enough time to fully address questions. So super priority for me today. We'll spend the back half of the broadcast speaking to your questions from yesterday. And by all means, if you have any others, Monday's not a bad day to do a little bit of AMA kind of stuff for site members. Also, too, we'll pop on over and we'll take a look at the daily brief requests. I can see there's a couple of questions in there. So we'll do that for the after party. TGIM, and not a good idea to go and blow yourself up right at the beginning of the week. So my trading partner and I did the opening range trade today in crude and got blown out pretty quickly, which really doesn't surprise me. It's pretty typical Monday. Quite often we see that they just wash both sides of the market. I was wondering if I happen to have that link handy, but I think I might have put it away. Well, let's see. I suppose we could probably load it up here. So, if anything, what I like, and I'm getting into sort of the rhythm again, I used to do this 10, 15 years ago, is you take the opening range trade. If it works, great. You got some money in your pocket. You can go throw, bets around later on in the day. If it doesn't work, ma'am, we'll close up shop and come back again tomorrow morning so you can see. We had a little pop up through the top and then she failed and then boom, got out. And if anything, not a bad idea. I did go long on this move. And we did notice that the opening range trade's giving you kind of wonky levels. I would have preferred to be long from here. But long and short of all that is that was stopped out first thing this morning. And actually the predominant trade looks like to be to the downside. Having said that, we are starting to come into levels, and actually I have enough of a justification to be hunting along down in here. I think trading partners and stuff even said that we were coming into things like POX and stuff from previous sessions. Don't really see anything here, but one level I like to use is the ATR script and, of course, horizontal support and resistance. So as you can see, when I did my write-up this morning here, I can actually justify hunting longs down in here. And the crude oil market's off a good $3. Super volatile these days. It used to be that, and I suppose you go through periods where increased volatility does sort of expand these ranges. But the old rule was if you see a market move about 2 or 3%, well, even 2.5%, you probably ought to pay attention. So here we are down 3%. You can see they're trying to lift the market even as we speak here. Doing more sort of paper trade, sim trade kind of idea, strapped on a little micro here. Thought this was inverted head and shoulders. Now it just looks like an outright W. And actually, that's fine because I've got the bull divs. I got Willie Stupid. I've got W starting to come in. So actually, I really don't mind the idea of hunting along. I suppose the real sharpshooter trade was to buy right against those lows. But anyway, you can see what's happening here. Might even actually strap on another one here because it's just a micro contract, not much. On the confirmation of the W, what is that? 82.88. I do like how the risk frame on this produced a 2-to-1 risk reward. I always like those kind of trades. So that's sort of what I'm watching here this morning. I'm not going to do this with live money. Like I said, their earlier opening range trade got busted out. So this is just more sim trading, but good practice. Practice makes perfect and all that kind of fun talk. Stock market actually a bit stronger than what I was expecting. Although what I would say is I do like the idea, especially when we look at our breadth indicators and stuff. I think I've talked to you guys about this before. We just went through the big celestial event window. And ironically enough, it was basically right here to about here, which interesting from a stock market perspective was basically a big down thumping. And actually interesting too. Well, the news headlines, covered page stories were all about, oh, market is officially in correction territory. And I started to hear lots of sort of, the YouTube influencers and stuff like that all barking about how we were going to have an Armageddon this week and all hell was going to break loose. And oh my God, this guy's falling. And ironically enough, usually when you hear all that, usually the stock market wants to rally. So interesting how we've got the Dow up a good 1%, 360 points to the upside. NASDAQ up a little less than 1%. Actually, you can see W is trying to come in. So smush those two together. You get the S&Ps up a little less than 0.8%. One market actually that's been surprising me a little bit lately is the small cap market. Seems to be underperforming consistently here. I suppose probably also too to a testament to our oh, there you go. Yeah, the W's are now in. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Practice makes perfect. Always good idea. Just keep practicing, keep practicing. So that looks good to see. We'll let that just do its thing. In fact, actually, here we should make sure that the stop is below that low. All right. Also, too, demonstrator of best practices. In the video yesterday, we talked about a potential trend continuation trade in the Bitcoin forming, and trend continuation means bot setups in my world. So interesting to see how we've just been bumping along here. I have been making higher highs and higher lows, so there's nothing really has changed here. And this little demo trade that we put on yesterday, you can see it's down a whopping $3, $4. Oh goodness! Oh, $3. Oh, $3.40. Anyway, nothing really to comment there, but nonetheless, if anything, just good. Want to be demonstrator our best practices and all that kind of fun talk. I don't really see anything that needs changing here. If anything, you hopefully all at home are seeing the inverted head and shoulders here. Market's working its way higher. Probably now we could even do things, especially with that rally peak, since this is confirmed. We could probably start throwing on some chaos levels, looking for upside objectives. If we get that pop up into 4669, then I can start moving stops and stuff. But really, for the time being, there's just nothing to be done here. Just twiddling your thumbs. Now, interesting, if we actually do see the crude oil bottom here, does that actually put a top in tech-related issues? Because usually oil and tech, they usually move in opposites. I've talked to you guys lots about that in the past. So anyway, we'll see what happens here. And you can also see too, we had a pretty big update there in the gold. Not big, but an update, up $11 an ounce, a little more than 0.5%. If this crude oil market is trying to bottom here and trying to turn back up, you might see that gold and metal market calms down a bit. So that's your day. I mean, it's Monday. I don't know whether I'd really read too much into Mondays. Mondays are always kind of a screwy day in the market. If anything, what I've been doing, spending a lot of time this morning, is we really want to try and build out the little old lady portfolio reporting on the website. So this is a really big project I want to get sort of finished this week. and have this all tickety boo and running on the website for all the pro subscription packages. These are the names that I've been accumulating over the past, I don't know, 6 months or so. And actually, I went and bought a whole bunch more of this little LIT here this morning. I really like the look of this thing. Cute little double bottom just come in. So I did originally pick some up off of this bottom. Then we had a nice little bottom come in here, and I was like, I want to go get some more of that. So actually, I did some shopping here today. And I don't know, you tell me if this thing ever gets going, has it got any room to move to the upside? Picking it up here at 70 cents. Well, $7 is just right back into that wick. It'll probably take a year or two to get there. I'm not expecting that next week, but hopefully you see a consistent theme out of me. I'm buying against the bottom ends of ranges, and then when they pop, sell halves on doubles, blah, blah, blah. Was pleased to see, previous purchases that we did along here, working along nicely. We get up above $12, and I'm going to have to be thinking about banging out doubles on that little guy. So super pleased to see that. And Sjord, the rock star of rock stars, gee whiz, his names just look awesome. So one of his names, look at that beautiful chart, eh? Oh my goodness, just so pretty. So you can already start to see the bottoms coming in here. And if anything, I had a nice meeting with another gentleman this weekend, picked up some more. That BAT, I don't know whether it's bottomed yet, but definitely down at the bottom end of his range. I think it's this guy I mean, look at that chart. It's, this stuff speaks for itself. So, I mean, I did some buying on that just in case you were wondering. So I have been actually active in the market, and I want to just keep accumulating these things. Don't need to go spend all your money all at once, but slow and steady wins the race. Just like the Hoover, I want to Hoover up all these shit coins. Nerd coins, right? Whatever. Okay, so what's sort of the backdrop of today? I get the impression it's kind of a vacuum day, to be honest with you. The news headlines here out of North America, or not news headlines, Econs, almost a non-event. I mean, we've got great, one of our bankster, my feeling about these people. Speaking here in Canada, but it doesn't even get a red notice. It's sort of a non-event. We have Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index came out there about an hour and a half ago or so. Yeah, it looks like the Texas area is slipping. I thought it was kind of interesting. Yeah, nice job, Filson. The US real estate market is coming back down to earth in very selective areas. And one of the areas that's actually almost completely corrected is Austin, Texas. So, I mean, this is Dallas. It's not quite Austin, but nonetheless, it is interesting to see that the air is coming out of those real estate bubble markets. I don't know when the air comes out of this insanity world that I'm living in up here in the Northwest Territories. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I do fully expect that probably, an interesting metric. I've been thinking about this recently. The U.S. housing market, of course, went into its bubble in 2006, 2007, and then ultimately popped in 2008, which was basically 8 years following its cycle pivot peak. So, the commodity country cycle pivot peak was 2018, the end of 17, beginning of 18. So 8 years following that would be 2026. So that means, and really, we're all looking for a massive inflation of the market here once the Fed is done with their interest raising. And of course, we're looking for Bitcoin and crypto and stuff like that to rally into the end of 2025, beginning of 2026. So I wonder if that's actually the pivot window, which means we probably have a couple more years of stupidity here in this Canadian insanity. But oh well, it is what it is. My goal here is to go and make a pile of money on crypto, and then we'll go buy our island, and we're just going to go move to the Caribbean or someplace like that. I don't know what. Yeah. Anyway, a whole bunch of rhetoric there. It's Monday. It's a slow news day. Got to fill the airwaves with something, right? So, other than the Dallas number, there just wasn't a hell of a lot that came out here today. News wise, of course, we all know there's one story I think that's dominating the news headlines. Of course, that's the whole Israeli thing. Did see a couple other news items that did grab my attention. The UAW is settled up now with General Motors, and General Motors basically the biggest of the auto sort of union one. So if the UAW is happy with GM, odds are Ford and I don't even know if Daimler Chrysler is Daimler Chrysler even a thing anymore. I don't know who owns Chrysler anymore. Anyway, did see Biden wants to try and get moving on AI. Is this more just bureaucratic nonsense? Probably. I don't think governments can really do a hell of a lot to step in front of AI. But if anything, he has absolutely beautifully pulled off this whole scam of, he's a socialist by nature. He wants more government spending. He wants that hyperinflationary model, and he wants bigger government. These are left wing politicians want bigger government, not smaller government. So you could argue that the whole Ukraine thing was nothing more than just another stimulus package. It's interesting how the current guy who's now taken over the U.S. House of Representatives, you get the distinct impression he's like, we've had enough of this Ukraine nonsense. It's going to stop. He's going to split apart the funding for Israel and Ukraine. And there's one particular guy on YouTube that I like to watch. He's such a mouthpiece for the U.S. military. It's ridiculous, but it is good to get all these different perspectives. And he's just crying 1,000 deaths here, complaining about how the U.S. military is not going to get a blank check here now. So that's an interesting development. I do like that idea, though. I like the idea that the U.S. government is going to now. We've gone through. You can feel the pendulum swinging, and actually, it's interesting. You actually see what's going on within Russia as well. You can really feel the pendulum is swinging back. So we'll see what happens. But I get the impression in the U.S. government, and specifically within the U.S. Congress, the sort of blank check for Ukraine days, I think they're behind us now. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see where Biden tries to inject some more socialism into the system and continue the sort of artificial or bigger government theme. I mean, he loves that stuff. So anyway, obviously the whole world is sort of, oh my goodness, what's this situation in Palestine going to do? There's not really much I can comment on that. But what I would say is I was a bit surprised to see the way that crude did come off a big chunk here overnight. And I'm wondering whether this is a function of them thinking that maybe this situation isn't nearly as tenuous as maybe calmer heads prevailed over the weekend, that kind of idea. And actually interesting, the news headlines were, oh, crude oil is going to lock limit up. It's going to go to the moon. So, of course, what does the market do? Goes the exact opposite direction. It's Murphy's Law, right? Okay, so let's see. We talked a little bit about broader market. As I said, I actually like the idea of things sort of settling down a little bit. Do have the FOMC coming up here later on in the week, and obviously that's going to dominate the conversation for probably a good portion of the rest of the week. Looks like the U.S. dollar index is settling into a bit of a range with a top coming in now up at the top end of the range, and I get the impression that the Americans are sort of telegraphing that they're probably not going to be raising rates this go round, but they're sort of leaving on the table that they might do something in December. Regardless, I suppose if we zoom out to something like a daily chart here on the US dollar, you can see that momentum is waning here. MACD divergences are quite noticeable. Willie was stupid. M's in RSI. Sjord's RSI Bollinger Bands are contracting here, meaning there's going to be some big move that's coming down the pike. And if this thing does come off here a chunk, and you can see, I mean, there's plenty of room for this thing to come down. There is Collins pump chaser zone. Of course, there's our good old 50% rule, WD GAN. So don't be shocked if you actually see we go through a period where the US dollar index comes off, which is by definition a risk on bet. Which would mean that you would probably see stock markets move higher. It'd be interesting to see how Bitcoin and crypto acts through this. I'm scratching my head a little bit about, and actually we've been having a lot of these kind of conversations lately. Is crypto still correlated with the stock market, or have they completely detached? I think the jury's out right now. I wouldn't be surprised if half of the reason why Bitcoin is doing as well as it is right now is simply the talk about the ETF. And does Mr. Fink get his treat? And of course, another big market to exploit for the 1%. I'm honestly speaking, I don't know which way that's going to go, but I do like the idea. Buy the rumor, sell the news. So as long as it's still very rumory, I think Bitcoin keeps a bid. Once that ETF is actually announced, I don't know what happens after that. I mean, does anybody really know the future? So anyway, it is what it is. Looking at some of the altcoins, actually, was interesting surfing through. I know we have a bunch of people from Collins community that whenever I talk to them, they're uber bullish about Solana. I don't know whether I really want to jump on this bandwagon or not. I'm just going to probably just wish them all good luck. Way to go. Fingers crossed for you. Looks like good old Ethereum's catching a bit of a bid here this morning. So maybe this is one market that I was sort of scratching my head. If Bitcoin's moving up, why is Ethereum just parked? I mean, it's a million miles away from its highs from last year, or I guess a year and a half ago. Whereas Bitcoin actually has gone through these highs from the summer. Ethereum it hasn't really broken out here. So wondering what's going on with that. But as I had sort of started off the broadcast with you all here today, I am in accumulation mode on crypto, and I want to be a net buyer here. In fact, actually, when assets double and triple and stuff like that, I don't know whether I even really want to be selling that much. But banging out doubles, triples, all that kind of stuff, I'll just do what I normally do. But I'll do it reluctantly. Let's put it that way. On Friday, it was really cool. I was doing these weekly videos with some of the site members. Actually, I saw Derek on the site recently. So it's great to have Derek back in the fold. And on Friday, actually, we had Ben from Benkoff Check fame on the Friday video. And Chris actually told me that he reached out and talked with Paul, who was also on those weekly videos. And we might have him back on the show in the not too distant future. It would be kind of fun to have maybe a Friday with Paul. So maybe look forward to that. And as well, I mean, I don't really like to talk about it on these free videos, but we are fully immersed in our dashboard and crypto universe. I would just give you a quick boo. We are still in the buy mode here on the algo, but just understand, look how close we are So don't be shocked if you hear that we actually are being told to hop off. If we get any kind of weakness here, I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to get a little bit of a check here. So, just understand that that definitely is a realistic possibility here in the not too distant future. And of course, when you want that, if you want that signal in real time, maybe consider joining the site. I don't think there's really a hell of a lot else to talk about here this morning. As I said, we got a bunch of, there's that double bottom that I went and bought, and we're coming back down against the low. So, we'll see what happens. It was just a paper trade, but nonetheless, $15 in the hole now. Oh no, what are we going to do? But we'll pop on over and in the after party, we'll spend some time answering a whole bunch of site questions that were left over from the broadcast yesterday, and also in the daily brief request room. And other than that, I think we'll probably just leave the free broadcast at that right now. So bots are slightly underwater. Day trade crude oil position slightly underwater. That sounds like par for the course right now for good old Brian. All right. Have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. Slow and steady wins the race. All the best and bye for now.